for you guys step by step. This will help you speed up, specifically, especially guys, if you own a business. Okay, if you own a business, you need to stop what you're doing right now and pay very, very, very close attention. So I'm about to show you a way to 10x, 20x, 30x your speed in business and in life. So the title for today is called The Technology of Money, or you can call it The Technology of Business, or you can call it The Technology of Change. But more importantly, if I had to name it rightly, it would be called The Technology of Speed. Okay? How do we increase speed of accomplishment? Okay? This is not about productivity hacks. This is not about how to get the best out of your hour. Okay? That's how natural people think. Okay? We as spiritual beings understand that there's something that are faster than productivity hacks. The things that work better than time management and calendar management. So how do we tap into that resource that seemingly some people have? Like, think about it. Elon Musk built $3 billion businesses in the same time, literally in 1/5 of the time it took Jeff Bezos to build Amazon. Okay? There's Jeff Bezos has Amazon, but guess what? Elon Musk had SpaceX, he has Neuralink, and he has Tesla. Three different billion-dollar companies in three different industries. How did he do that? It's technology. So the first thing you need to do is that you need to have an understanding of what technology is. Okay? Technology here, in the natural, technology is defined as the scientific application of knowledge into practical solutions. Write that down. Technology is defined as the scientific application of knowledge to a practical solution. Okay? So in the natural, technology is based on science, okay? And this is the key word here, scientific application. The problem with scientific application is only based on observation. I want you guys to pay attention. This is super key. When you're in third grade, you guys remember those little projects we had to do? We had to have those whiteboards, and then you had to come up with a science fair project, and then you had to create a problem you wanted to solve. And half of us didn't care about it, but some of us took it very seriously, right? And then you have to go through the scientific process, okay? And if you notice, in the scientific process, what determined your results was based on observation, okay? So if you're basing your life on the scientific application of practical knowledge, that means you're basing your life only solely based on observation. Now here's the problem. We all know that things on earth in life are controlled, are affected and influenced by things that are not seen. There's the seen world and there's the unseen world. In the seen world, you can work on the basis of observation, okay? But in the unseen world, scientific observation is not the means where things are communicated and applied. In the unseen world, in the spiritual world, okay, the technology of the spiritual world is called wisdom. Write that down. The technology of the spiritual world is called wisdom. So when people of the natural realm rely on observation, we rely on wisdom. Well, what's wisdom? Wisdom is not the scientific application of knowledge. Okay, that's a key word there. Wisdom is not the scientific application of knowledge. Wisdom is the spiritual application of knowledge for practical solutions. So while one works on observation, the other works on understanding. I don't want you guys to miss this, guys. This is key. If you understand this, you will unlock speed in your business like no man else, like nobody else. Listen to this. Look at this. Technology in the natural relies on the scientific application of knowledge to practical situations for practical solutions. Wisdom relies on the spiritual application of knowledge or understanding to practical solutions. So you have a choice to decide where you're going to operate from. Are you going to operate from just based on observation, or are you going to operate based on understanding? I'll give you an example. I'm going to give you a natural technology and a spiritual technology right here. Write this down, guys. I cannot make this up. Okay? And here's the thing about natural and spiritual laws. They seem similar, but they're actually completely different. What do I mean by that? Because one is based on observation, the other is based on understanding. For you to understand something, you first have to observe it, right? You have to have seen it, you have to have experienced it, right? But here's the difference. Here's a natural technology, and here's a spiritual technology. Okay? The natural technology is the law of cause and effect. Write that down. So in your business, if you're operating on the law of cause and effect, you know that if you take one action, there will be an opposite reaction. Matter of fact, the definition of cause and effect, according to Newton's third law in physics, is that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. The key word there being equal. And guys, I cannot make this up, guys. This is so true. Okay? But in the law of the spirit, we're not operating on cause and effect. We operate on the technology of sowing and reaping. They seem similar, but very different. How? Because when the cause and effect is the equal, there is the key word. So whatever you do, there will be an equal effect on the other side. For example, if you lift weights for 10 years, you will have the body of somebody who lifts weights for 10 years. If you lift weights for 1 year, you have the body of somebody who lifts weights for 1 year. But in the law of the spirit, you get a multiplication of what you sow. You get a multiplication of the effort you put in. And that's based off understanding. So for example, if somebody lifts weights for 1 year regularly, they might lose 10 pounds that year. But if somebody with understanding changes their diet with no exercise at all, they will actually lose more weight faster. Why? Because they applied a spiritual law. So what does this have to do with your business? Great question. In your business, you have to understand what laws are you operating underneath. Now, when I say supernatural, I'm not trying to be spooky here by any means, shape, or form, okay? Supernatural just means more than normal, faster than normal, okay? So you can do things that will get you normal results, but if you're somebody like me who looks for ways to accelerate the speed of results, you need to start tapping into technology that works differently than natural technology. See, natural technology believes in the law and the theory of evolution. If you really think about that, the theory of evolution states that we literally came from monkeys. If you watch the movie Transformers, imagine Optimus Prime thinking he's a fire truck. Oh, but the fire truck looks like me. The fire truck has the same parts as me. No, because you look like the fire truck does not mean you're the fire truck, okay? You came from a different planet. You actually have a different spark to you, something that they call the divine spark. Okay, that's why you're different. But based on the law of observation, the truck can be Optimus Prime. But based on spiritual law, we didn't have understanding. You know that Optimus Prime came from another planet, so therefore he's not just a fire truck. Same with you. So you have the chance to access what laws you follow. Okay? My coach says it like this, okay? There are universal principles that work, okay? So no matter who you are, there's universal principles and laws that work for you, okay? But as a believer, there's also supernatural principles. See, when I was struggling, one of the easiest ways for me to move was by tapping into universal principles, because I knew that if I did the work would work, okay? But when I added supernatural principles, it began to give me an advantage over what other people can do. Listen, I don't need to be as smart as Elon Musk to get the same results as Elon Musk if that's what I want to do. I don't have to be as pretty as Angelina Jolie, just as an example, to get the same favor Angelina Jolie has if that's what I decide to do. All I have to do is learn how to tap into spiritual laws. For example, if I wanted favor, one of the ways the Bible says you can have favor in the book of Proverbs, it says a gift pacifieth anger. Okay? So if you have somebody who's angry with you, or if you want to gain favor with somebody, one of the ways to do that is give a gift, okay? A gift to somebody will beat just being pretty or good looking to look at, okay? You see how the spiritual principles give you an advantage over just natural beauty or natural principles? So how do you translate this into your business? Write this down. There are 11 technologies for automatic money, or 11 technologies for supernatural speed. Okay, write it down. Number one, understanding. We talked about that. Understanding. Whatever you don't understand, you cannot apply. One of the biggest things that people are missing is this thing called understanding. Knowledge without understanding is like having the light in a building without flipping on the light switch. It becomes useless, okay? You need understanding. And with understanding then comes wisdom. Wisdom is the application of that understanding. So if you understand that if you flip on the light, guess what? Lights will come up in the room. That you flip it on the light is an application of that understanding. Again, we talked about technology, spiritual technology. Number one, understanding. Number two, I'm gonna go through these real quick, and then I'm gonna nail or drill down on a couple because I have a couple minutes left. Thoughts and desires. Your thoughts and desires are actually technologies you can use for speed, okay? The Bible says it's like this. It says, guard your heart with all due diligence because out of them are the issues of life. Do you understand that as a person, do you know that you actually started off as a thought of God? Think about that. God said, let us make man in our own image. That is a thought. He had a thought. And you are an expression of a thought, of a part of creativity that he had in mind. That's you. You're literally a thought that got manifested. So everything you want in your life, whether it's speeding your business, whether it's speeding your career, starts with your thoughts and your desires. So you have to make sure that you're filling your mind, your ears, your eyes, your nose, your mouth with things that are actually beneficial for where you want to go. So if I want to be a track star, like I want to be a runner, okay, I'm not about to be listening to the best fried chicken recipes. That don't make no sense. But if I wanted to be a cook, that would be the best thing for me to listen to. Does that make sense? If I wanted to be a business person, I'm not about to start listening to the best ways to, enjoy vacation in Hawaii. I'm going to listen to the top 10 business leaders in my time, okay? So your thoughts and desires, they need to be protected, and you need to be careful what you feed. And number three, this is a huge piece of technology. Okay, your words. We're talking about technology that can increase your speed, your words, okay? Your body is made of 70% water. There was actually a scientific experiment done, okay? There was 2 petri dishes. In one petri dish, okay, they wrote on a piece of paper words like evil, dark, hatred, and they put it in the petri dish and they froze it. In another petri dish, they put words like love and scriptures and abundance, and they put it inside the freezer. After some time, they took out both petri dishes and they put it underneath a magnifying glass. The petri dish that had the words evil, hatred on it, the crystals were actually malformed and they were chaotic. But the petri dish with the water that had the words life, love, peace, the crystals were perfect. How is that possible if water doesn't have ears or doesn't have eyes? How's that possible? Because whether you know it or not, your body's made of 70% water. Water actually listens and speaks. So your words are super important. This is where the idea of daily affirmations come from. But more importantly than daily affirmation, you got to speak scriptures Daily affirmations are cool, but I said my favorite say start with the word "it is written," okay? Because you're reminding God of His word for you. It is written that I shall be blessed after the order of Abraham, according to the covenant which He swore unto my fathers. It is written that I shall be the head and not the tail. It is written that I shall be a lender to nation and not a borrower. It is written, okay? You got to remind God of His word, because in Isaiah 55 it says that my word, when it comes out of my mouth, shall proceed forth. It shall not return back until it accomplishes what it was sent out to do. Now, we're talking about spiritual realities and spiritual technology here, okay? Do not miss this. Number 4. We're going to have enough time to go through all these, okay? Desires. Okay? So this is supposed to be thoughts and intentions, actually. Okay? And these are desires, okay? One of the ways to access spiritual technology is through your desires. The Bible says, like this in the book of Psalms, it says that delight yourself in the Lord and He will give you the desires of your heart. That doesn't necessarily mean that if you want a Lambo, you're going to get a Lambo. It means that what He wants you to do, He will actually fill you with that desire, therefore giving you direction. Okay? Or in the business world, what we call it is clarity. So if you feel like you're not having clarity in business, one of the biggest things that stop momentum in business is lack of clarity. So if you feel like you're lacking clarity, this is the technology you're missing, okay? Submitting your desires to the Lord, okay? Number 4. Number 5, wisdom. We talked about this. Wisdom is the application of understanding. And it's so key, guys. If you go to the book of Matthew, I believe it's in the, chapter 19, okay, Jesus gave a parable of the seeds and the sower. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to record a video, okay, of this, and I'm going to drop it for you guys next week so you guys really understand this. He gave a parable of the seed and the sower, and he described there how those who lack understanding, because they lack understanding, they cannot do the things that they need to do to get ahead. Wisdom is the application of that understanding. Wisdom is the technology of the Spirit. As a matter of fact, there are 12 types of wisdom. Okay, wisdom, there are 12 types of wisdom. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple right now. Okay, there's wisdom for rulership and judging. Okay, in the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 1 and 2, this is where Solomon asked that God give me the spirit of wisdom and an understanding heart so I might be able to judge and discern for your people. Okay, number 2, there's the wisdom and skill and workmanship. In the book of Exodus, chapter 31, it says that Beelzebub was filled with the Spirit of God in all manners of workmanship in the work of gold, silver, etc., etc. Okay, there's wisdom, guess what, in the interpretation of dreams and visions and sage advice. This is where Daniel came in, where he says, blessed be you, O God, in the book of Daniel chapter 2, who reveals the deep and secret things. Okay, we can go on and on. There's 12 of these. I don't want to spend all day kind of going over these, but there's 12 types of wisdom that you can actually access as a believer. Number 6, okay, the type of technology you can access. Knowledge. Super key here. One of the things you can do to speed up your business is acquire knowledge, information. But here's the key. The type of information you're acquiring is what matters the most. Like I said, if you're a chef, I don't want you watching videos on how to play ping pong. You need to acquire the knowledge based on your industry and go deeper, okay, as much as possible, okay? Number 7, understanding. Mind you guys, these are technologies you can use to speed up your business and get growth and clarity. Number 8, favor. Okay? We talked about favor as a technology for change, especially in business. Guys, there's some things that are done through relationships, not smartness, not how cool you are, but based specifically on relationships. That's what we call the technology of favor. In the book of Proverbs, there are at least 6 different ways where God says you can achieve favor or stand before kings. I'll give you an example. It says in the book of Proverbs, it says that blessed is the man who is diligent in his works. Why? Because he will stand before kings and not mere men. So diligence is one of the ways to access the technology of favor. Number 9, work. Okay? You got to do the work, guys. Okay, when you have the wisdom, you have the knowledge, you have the understanding. You actually have to do the work. If you're a cook, if you're a chef, getting all the knowledge, reading all the books enough is not good enough to succeed. You actually have to cook. You actually have to bake. Okay, so get to work. Okay, and there's 2 type of works that we have to access here. Okay, and I want to spend a few minutes here. And I try to keep these videos as short as possible, but y'all gonna have to forgive me today. Okay, there's 2 types of work. Okay, remember we talked about natural technology and spiritual technology. On the natural side, okay, the work is the actual work you're doing. You're typing a paper. You're being creative. That's what I'll call natural work. Okay? Then there's supernatural work where when there's a season of your life where you're getting favor, or when there's a season of your life where you're called to do a certain type of work and you feel it's easy for you to do it, that you continue doing it. That's called the working of miracles. You see how all these things have a natural and a spiritual parallel? Okay, what does the working of miracles look like? Okay, great question. In the book of 2 Kings, there's a lady that came to the prophet Elijah. He said, Elijah, my husband, your servant, is dead. And behold, my kids are about to be sold into slavery. What shall I do? Elijah said, do you have anything to eat, young lady? And she said, I only have 1 piece of bread and oil. And me and my kid, we're going to eat that and then die. Elijah said, you know what? Give me that piece of bread. What? Give me the bread and the oil? You're tripping. But she did as the servant said. She obeyed, okay? That's number 12. Okay, obedience. She obeyed, okay? And then what happened? She gave him the oil, and then Elijah told her something. She said, go and borrow all the vessels from your neighbors, and then start pouring the oil. And she said that as soon as she started pouring oil into the vessels, the oil didn't stop. Okay, she was actually working the miracle. So there was a miracle where oil was being produced out of nowhere, but the miracle only lasted as long as she was working. So as she was pouring the oil in the vessels, the miracle continued. Once she stopped, the miracle stopped. She could have kept pouring forever, and she would have been pouring oil till this day, till 2024. That's called the working of miracles. There are times in your life where you notice that there's certain things that are easy for you, or you have the desire, the hunger to do something, whether it's write a book or do a podcast or read a newsletter or whatever the case may be. Okay, in those seasons, it's time for you to work those miracles. You have to work that season in favor. Okay, that's what's called on the supernatural side. Okay, you cannot let seasons pass you by. Okay, number 10. I wish I had a lot of time to go through this, but a short time here. Okay, mentorship. Oh my God, one of my favorites. Mentorship. Oh, I love this one, guys. This is one of my favorites. Okay, mentorships is a superpower for speed. Mentorship is you getting access to experience, knowledge, understanding, favor, relationships, connections, understanding, knowledge, wisdom, desires, words, thoughts, intention, and understanding that you didn't work for. Isn't that cool? You can literally go to somebody and say, hey, you've been working at this for 30, 40 years. Let me either be a disciple of yours or let me pay you a fee to acquire the wisdom you have, to acquire the knowledge you have, to acquire the relationships you have. I remember there was one of my mentors, right? In real estate, one of the first businesses I had. And he's been my mentor to this point for 4 years. And we were doing business together. Okay, I think that year I was making like $180,000 that year. And sometimes just asked him a very specific question. I said, hey, can you introduce me to somebody who can take my business to the next level? He said, Josh, there's somebody I want to introduce you to. I've just been waiting for you to ask me that question. I said, what? If you knew, why don't you just tell me? He was like, I had to wait for you to be ready. I was like, okay, forget 1. What about 10? He said, no, let's start with this one first. Let's see how you handle the relationship. And from there, we can begin to grow. There are certain relationships that mentors can attach you to that will change the speed of your trajectory. I'll give you an example. If you run a digital marketing agency, okay, let's say you provide Facebook ads, Instagram ads for people. If Jeff Bezos connected you to one of his friends, businesses, your business goes from a small social media business to $100 million business in literally 24 hours. Why? Because of the law and application of the speed of mentorship. This is why, guys, I spend 6 to 7 figures every year investing in myself, investing in mentorship, investing in relationships. Why? Because I understand this spiritual technological law. So if you're looking for speed, this one right here. Okay, they can help provide clarity, they can help provide knowledge, wisdom, experience, and a lot of the things on these lists for a fee. Come on, guys, get on it. And number 11, momentum. Write this down. The law of momentum. Okay, this one I learned from one of my favorite mentors, Myron Golden. He taught me this. He said, listen, an object in motion will continue in motion unless acted upon by outside force. When you're winning in business and you think to yourself, oh, let me slow down, don't do it. Do not slow down. Matter of fact, run faster. I was actually listening to, I was at a conference with a business partner of mine, and he said he was doing pretty well, making almost 7 figures a month, like back-to-back months, like best months of his career. And then after doing it for 3 or 4 months, he said, listen, I've done well. Let me enjoy the fruits of my labor. Let me relax. And he said since that time, it took him months to regain the type of momentum he had during that season. Why? Because he took his foot off the pedestal. Ecclesiastes 11 said like this. He says, sow your seed in the morning and do not let your hand rest at night. So though you're working in the morning, find something else to work on in the evening. Always be working on yourself, okay? These are the 12 technologies of money, or the 12 technologies of speed. Now, if you want to take advantage of this, you have to have understanding of certain things. Number one. Number two, as a believer, guys, you guys have access to this and so much more, okay? But let's say you're not a believer. There's some of these laws that you can actually take advantage of that are natural. For example, speaking the right words over yourself. Affirmations, super key. Anybody can do that, okay? Number two, okay? Gaining knowledge, okay? Number three, work, okay? You might not be able to access the supernatural work, as in the working of miracles, but you can access the natural work, okay? Which means that you actually work for a certain period of time and produce something for the environment. You actually become useful, okay? So if we're going for 28 minutes here, I'm going to round it up here, guys, okay? I'm going to say this last thing. The best thing about all these 12 laws, all these 12 pieces of technology is you don't have to know everything yourself, okay? When you are somebody who walks with God, what he does is that he can give you access to things, to certain pieces of knowledge, to certain pieces of information, to certain desires as you need them. So it's not about memorization, it's about experience, okay? And experience comes with understanding. So that being said, guys, have a good day. Hope you learned something. Catch you on the next one.